Hasn't spent maybe a little too much time daydreaming about, finding the one, right? Like imagining that whirlwind romance that just sweeps you off your feet. It's a
Yeah.
tale as old as time. But what's actually going on, like behind the scenes of, those stolen glances and you get those racing heartbeats,
Right.
that's what we're diving into today. We're
Yeah.
trying to like decode the stages of falling in love.
Yeah, and you've brought like a really interesting script outlining those stages. But the thing about falling in love,
Mhm.
it's not just some, abstract feeling.
Right.
There's a whole symphony of brain chemicals and evolutionary biology kind of like orchestrating this whole experience for us.
Okay, so less poetry, more like a chemistry experiment, right?
Exactly. And understanding the science behind it can help us actually like appreciate those feelings, when they're really intense and navigate all those ups and downs that inevitably come with it.
Yeah.
And hopefully build, stronger, more fulfilling relationships because of it.
So no love potions or secret handshakes, but we are getting into like the nitty-gritty of why love makes us act the way we do.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm in. Let's start with the initial spark
Okay.
that I can't stop thinking about them feeling, when suddenly they're the most fascinating person on the planet.
Right. And that's not just, you being smitten, although it certainly feels that way.
Oh, yeah.
We can thank dopamine and adrenaline for that. They're our brain's reward and excitement chemicals. And they just go into overdrive when we encounter someone who, checks those attraction boxes for us.
So it has a chemical high.
It is.
Okay, that explains why it's so easy to get swept up in those early stages.
Exactly.
Like you are not in control.
It's like our brain is saying, pay attention.
Yeah.
This person is important.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden you're checking your phone constantly hoping for a message.
Oh, my gosh.
Replaying every interaction in your head.
Oh, tell me you haven't been there.
Yeah.
That little dopamine rush when your phone lights up with their name on it,
Oh, yeah.
it's practically Pavlovian.
Exactly. And that brings us to the infamous honeymoon phase.
Okay, I've got to ask, is the honeymoon phase a real thing, or is this just Hollywood messing our heads? Asking for a friend, of course.
It's definitely real,
Oh.
though maybe not quite as glamorous as the movies make it seem.
Okay.
So remember that potent cocktail of dopamine and adrenaline we talked about?
Mhm.
Well, now let's add in a surge of oxytocin and serotonin.
Okay, break it down for me. What are those again?
Okay, so oxytocin is often called the cuddle hormone. It's released through touch and closeness,
Okay.
creating feelings of bonding and attachment. And then serotonin is a major mood booster.
Right.
You put them all together, and you've got a recipe for intense euphoria, that walking on sunshine feeling we associate with new love.
So it literally is a chemical high. No wonder it feels so good.
It is. It's like your brain is throwing a party, and everyone's invited.
I love it.
But here's the catch.
Okay.
Like all good parties, it can't last forever.
Oh, no.
Eventually, those hormone levels start to regulate,
Right.
and we come down from that initial high.
So that's why the honeymoon phase eventually fades. It's not necessarily that the love is gone. It's just biology doing its thing.
Precisely. And this is where things get really interesting.
All right.
Because we move into the next stage, which your script calls the realization stage. Reality sets in.
Oh, boy.
And it's not always pretty.
It's like that moment when you realize your favorite movie character actually leaves their socks on the floor. Not exactly a deal breaker, but definitely changes things. Right?
Exactly. The rose-colored glasses come off, and you start to see your partner, flaws and all.
Yeah.
And here's the kicker. You start to see your own flaws more clearly, too.
Oh, no. Nobody wants that.
Yeah.
So not necessarily a time to like panic and jump ship the second your partner does something annoying.
Not at all. In fact, this stage is crucial for building lasting love.
Okay.
Because now you're making a conscious choice.
Okay.
Are those flaws something you can accept,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even find endearing?
Yeah.
Or are they deal breakers?
Right. It's about making that choice. Okay. So it's less about finding someone perfect and more about deciding, what imperfections you can live with.
Yeah.
Maybe even grow to love.
Right.
It's kind of refreshing, actually.
It is. Because let's face it, we're all a mixed bag, right?
True. That's true.
This stage is about embracing that, both in ourselves and in our partner.
This feels like a good segue to the next stage. Building trust and commitment. The pressure is on.
You could say that, but it's less about pressure and more about, conscious effort.
Right.
This stage is where true intimacy begins to develop.
Okay, but how do we get there? What does
Yeah.
that look like, in those everyday moments?
Well, remember, oxytocin, our cuddle hormone,
Yeah.
it's still playing a crucial role here.
Mm.
And not just in romantic relationships, by the way.
Okay.
That feeling of comfort and security you get from a hug with a close friend
Mm-hmm.
or a heart-to-heart with a family member,
Yeah.
that's oxytocin working its magic, strengthening those bonds.
So those little moments of connection throughout the day, a hug, hello, holding hands on the couch,
Yeah,
those aren't just cute. They're actually building a foundation.
exactly. But building trust goes beyond, just the feel-good moments.
Right?
It's about showing up for each other, especially when things get tough.
Oh.
Can you be vulnerable?
Yeah.
Share your fears and insecurities.
Yeah.
Can you offer support without judgment?
That's tough.
These are big questions.
It's like choosing to fight for the relationship, not against each other.
Exactly. This stage is where you really see the strength of a relationship tested.
Mm-hmm.
Disagreements are inevitable, but it's how you navigate those disagreements that determines whether you grow closer or drift apart.
Okay, so conflict can actually be a good thing.
It can be,
Okay.
because disagreeing with someone doesn't mean you love them any less.
Right.
It's an opportunity to understand their perspective, to communicate your own needs, and to find solutions together.
This is reminding me of that saying, smooth seas don't make skilled sailors.
I like that.
It's the challenges, the storms we weather together that make the relationship stronger.
Precisely. And when we approach those challenges with a spirit of curiosity, of wanting to understand rather than judge or blame, that's when love has the opportunity to really deepen and evolve.
I love that.
And that brings us to the final stage. Deep attachment, what your script calls true love.
Okay, this is the good stuff.
Yeah.
I love the sound of true love. It feels calmer, quieter somehow, but no less powerful.
Yeah,
Maybe even more so because it's built on this foundation of trust and shared experiences.
that's a beautiful way to put it. Think of the initial stages of love, like building a bonfire,
Okay.
exciting, intense, but ultimately fleeting.
Right.
True love is more like building a hearth.
Okay.
It takes time and patience,
Yeah.
but the warmth and comfort it provides lasts much longer.
And it's a different kind of warmth, right? It's not that all-consuming fire of those early days, but something more settled, more profound.
Exactly. It's about deep acceptance, unwavering respect, and a love that runs deeper than just, fleeting emotions.
Yeah.
It's about choosing each other day after day, even when life gets messy.
So we've gone from, butterflies and brain chemicals to like building trust, weathering storms, and ultimately arriving at this place of deep, enduring love.
Yeah.
It makes those early stages feel like a distant memory almost.
And it's easy to romanticize those early stages, for sure.
Totally.
But what's truly remarkable is how love can transform and evolve over time.
We often hear that like love is a feeling, but after this deep dive, I'm starting to think it's more of a choice, isn't it? A choice we make every single day.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Because feelings ebb and flow.
Yeah.
But choosing to love someone,
Yeah.
flaws and all, through thick and thin, that's what makes it real.
It's like that quote, love is a verb. It's not just something we feel, it's something we do.
Absolutely.
And like any skill worth mastering, it takes practice.
Yeah.
It's about showing up with intention, with curiosity, with a willingness to grow, both, individually and together.
Yeah, for sure.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive. We've debunked some myths about love,
Yeah.
explored the science behind, those intense feelings,
Yeah.
and learned how to nurture a love that lasts.
And the best part is that this knowledge isn't just limited to romantic relationships.
That's true.
The principles we've discussed today, they apply to all kinds of love.
Yeah.
Familial love, friendships, even the relationship we have with ourselves.
That's such an important point. Maybe the key to a more loving life isn't about finding the perfect person, but about becoming a more loving person ourselves.
Beautifully said. It's about cultivating those qualities of empathy, compassion, and understanding, not just for, our partners, but for everyone we encounter.
So how can we put this into practice? What's one small step we can take today to bring more love, more intention into our relationships?
Well, it could be as simple as, expressing gratitude to a loved one,
Mm-hmm.
really listening without judgment when someone's sharing their heart,
Mm-hmm.
or simply offering a warm hug to someone who needs it.
Those small acts of love, those little deposits into the emotional bank account of our relationships, they really do make all the difference, don't they?
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, love is about connection.
Mm-hmm.
It's about knowing we're not alone in this crazy, beautiful journey of life.
This has been an incredible conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today.
It's been my pleasure.
And for our listeners, we'd love to hear from you. How have you seen these stages play out in your own relationships? What are your biggest takeaways from today's deep dive? Keep the conversation going, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive into a topic you're passionate about.